Hello everyone and welcome to today's reflection. It's my turn today to do the reflection for Wednesday the 31st of August. I'd like to start by saying Happy New Year to you all. No, don't worry, I've not lost the plot. I mean Happy New Academic Year. It's a new school year and the children have just gone back to school. The first day was marked at school or nursery was marked by lots of photographs shared all over social media. People have seen the new uniforms being tried on, and the pencil cases and lunch boxes that have all been bought recently have been tried out. 2 weeks ago, parents all over the country breathed a sigh of relief. Peace at last. Some parents and carers may have also shed a tear or two as their big boy or big girl started on their journey to nursery or to primary school or high school for the first time. These transition points are a big change in a child's life, and they're an important milestone to mark. Everyone comments how smart they look in their new uniform and how much they've grown, and they feel nostalgic for the past when they were just a wee boy or a wee girl, how much older they look now, how time flies. The start of the new academic year also means a restart of the many clubs, organisations and activities after the long summer break. Brownies and guides, clubs and scouts all start back when the schools go back. The sports clubs resume, the dance schools reopen, the fundraising committees start up, the Rotary, the WRI, bands and music groups, the Musical Society. Everything starts back up and restarts in August, September. It's a fresh start for everyone. A new year, a new focus. Here in the church too, things are starting up again, and there will be many new beginnings and fresh starts. The Guild will start back again soon. The Boys Brigade and the Girls Brigade are meeting again every Thursday, and the midweek worship services are going to restart after a long pause. The baby blether and toddler time are restarting, providing that we have enough volunteers to help out. The Sunday Night Project Youth Group is going to be starting fairly soon, and the art group. And so it goes on. The new school year is one of my favourite times of the year. It's a time for fresh starts, it's a time for optimism, new ideas and new goals, new objectives. You come back feeling refreshed and reinvigorated after the holidays. There's so much positive thinking about what the year ahead is going to bring. When I was a teacher, I used to love it when we got our new timetables, we got new classes to get to know and have a fresh start, and a big delivery of new jotters and stationery that was all fresh and clean and untouched. I used to love giving out all the new materials on the first day back and talking to the young people about my expectations of them over the next year and asking them about their expectations of me and their hopes and objectives for the future and for the year ahead. How did they feel? Were they nervous about impending exams? I loved getting my new teacher planner, and every year I promised myself I was going to keep it neat and tidy and organised. Always optimistic at the beginning of the year. The exams seemed very far away, and people knew that this was the beginning of a journey, and the destination and how they got there was up to them. This fresh start allows us to reflect on the past year and look forward to the new year with optimism. It's a time for setting goals and making changes. I think of the new academic year as a time to reset, much like the start of the calendar year in January, when I set my New Year's resolutions, and then again at the start of Lent, when again I make promises to myself and set myself goals of what can I change to make myself a better person. Are there any new ideas to take forward? Whether this is my personal life, whether it's my health, whether it's teaching methods, or whether it's in my life of faith. Change is inevitable, and it's important to change and adapt as our needs evolve and change too. Our goals change as we grow older, and so do our opinions of things and our interests. How many of you still enjoy the same things that you did when you were a child or a teenager or in your 20s? And do you still dress the same as you did in the 60s or the 80s or even just 10 years ago? I doubt it. I know I don't. Society changes and people change. And change only happens with new ideas and new ways of doing things being tried out. But people don't like change very much sometimes, and they don't like new ideas. Perhaps fearful, perhaps uncomfortable with it. And people talk about the good old days, when things were better and easier and brighter. And we didn't do that in those days. We didn't have that problem in those days. When people are faced with change, they say, oh, that's not going to work. But it's fine the way it is. Well, that's too much hassle. Things were much better before. Why can't we leave them as they were? But were they? Think about events in your lifetime and changes that have happened. The Second World War, rationing, polio, the Cold War, the Falklands, Chernobyl, Lockerbie, Piper Alpha, the miners' strike, the recession in the 90s, and then the big financial crash in 2008, interest rates in double digits when people couldn't afford a home, children going to school hungry and malnourished, asbestos, high mortality rates from diseases which we now have either a cure or better treatment, HIV and AIDS, many types of cancer. They're no longer the death sentence they once were. So I ask you, were things really that much better back then? Or were we just less aware of the problems or too young to understand? Everyone harks back to the past at times when life seems simpler, but society needs to change and evolve as we as people change. And so it's the same with the Church of Scotland. It is reflected and is entering a new phase with new goals and a new vision. Some people are very fearful of the changes and what this might mean. They criticise and say, well, we didn't have to do that in my day, instead of relishing this opportunity to think outside the box, dream big, and look at a new way of doing things. Let's think what changes we can make to have a positive effect on our church, here in Forfar and the national church, our society and our world. We need to show courage and take steps towards restructuring the church. We know that God will always be with us and that we have to trust in him, that he will help us make the right decisions and the right choices and adapt to these new changes. So I'd like to mention a couple of verses from the Bible to sum up today's message. Firstly, Deuteronomy chapter 31. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. And again, from Jeremiah chapter 29. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So in this time of change and uncertainty, let's remember God is with us. He won't leave us. And let's see what positive changes we can bring about this new academic year in this time of uncertainty. All the best, everyone. Have a good week.